Hello, YouTube. Ronan Kazi, Division, doing Times Square. Have a low-level character that I'm leveling up. Want to talk to you a little bit about some projections. I'm sure everyone's heard that there is maybe a possibility that we live in a simulated universe. One of those principles is simulated reality through a holographic projection of the universe. And I'm too dumb to be able to tell you about it other than I'm going to read it to you. The holographic universe principle suggests that we're living in a simulated reality. This is different from the hypothesis that we live in a computer simulation. Essentially, it claims our physical world is nothing more than a detailed illusion. This illusion is actually projected by our brains as energy fields are being decoded in the seemingly three-dimensional universe we see around us. If you've ever seen a hologram in real life, it's like you look at it, and I guess they have holograms of like Michael Jackson and other artists that have passed away, and it's a way for them to be on stage and perform and do those kind of things. And some people say in that same kind of situation, that's what kind of reality we live in. And so that's always an interesting concept. Do we live in we're playing a video game that's a simulation, and, the idea if we live in a computer simulation is certainly intriguing and thought-provoking. The holographic projection of the universe is a little more complex, and, it's not getting a lot of traction with me because it's hard to get my head wrapped around it. But essentially just saying that you perceive things in your mind, you create that reality, that three-dimensional, you fill in the spaces. Like you've seen the examples where people write sentences and they leave out a lot of the letters, but your brain still fills in. If you speak English, your brain fills in what the words would be. So that's a type of projection that we may live in. Another type of projection is psychological projection. That's a defense mechanism people use to cope with difficult feelings or emotions. What the person does is they project their undesirable feelings or emotions onto someone else rather than admitting or dealing with their feelings. Again, it's a reality that we live in that tries to make sense of the world. And so we take our stuff and map it onto other people. That's another type of projection. And there's a lot of projections. Third projection that I'll talk about a little bit is a Mercator projection. And so if you've ever seen a nautical chart, they eventually turned into Mercator projections because on the chart, it's most accurate in the center of the chart. It's very accurate. And it's a way to depict two-dimensionally the 3D world. So I want you to think about kind of what we just said. We may be in a holographic universe where it's two-dimensional, and then we turn it into a 3D projection. And at the end of the discussion, a Mercator projection, you take a 3D world and turn it back into a 2D projection, right? So you can chart where you are on the surface of the Earth. One of the things about Mercator projections are they're very inaccurate on the edges, and as you get a bigger map, it's more distorted. And so if you ever see a nautical chart, it will make like things on the edges of the map not in proportion to how they are in real life. Those types of projections are not a good representation of reality. But in all these things, the common thread is projections are some type of way to understand the current situation we're living in, right? If the holographic universe is true, then you're constantly creating the universe, kind of like in Minecraft, right? You're procedurally generating this information and then turning it into 3 dimensions. And when you think about that you're playing a video game and it's quote unquote 3D, really, right, it's not 3D because it's being projected on a 2D surface. You have XY pixel, right? We talk about the resolution of a screen. If you got a old-fashioned 1080p, it's 1920 across by 1080, up and down. This part of this mission really stunk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-put my turret up here. I kind of remember where the spawn is. If you're playing a Division, it's a great game. If you like the Division 2, you'd love the Division. It's a little bit different. You can see some of the skills, how the skills work, are a little slicker in the Division 2. Like it's not as easy to just put your skill on a ledge in front of you. You got to throw it there. You can't pick up your skills. You can destroy them, but you can't pick them up. But it has some other things that are kind of make up for that. But you're playing on a 2D representing a 3D. The reason why you think there's 3D is in the Renaissance era, maybe in Greek time, they had developed perspective. I don't remember that much from art history, but I do know that in the Renaissance, if you look, the lines kind of go to the center. That gives you an idea that there is perspective, because this is kind of how it looks when you see it. But, that's your brain is filling in the 3-dimensional area of that screen. And that's just like with psychological projection, the same thing, right? You're just making stuff up. You're putting it on someone else. It's something you can't deal with. You're putting it on someone else. And that's part of projecting. And if you think about how I'm using the word projection in those cases, it really is a way to look at the world in a different way, to comprehend the world in a different way. It's can't. How do you map out a curved surface on a 2D, on a flat piece of paper, right? That's why they came up with the Mercator projection. A holographic universe explains a lot of possibilities. Now, I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of holographic universe. There's much smarter people than me about that. It's not an area that I know. It's not an area that I'm well versed in as I am in other things. So I'm not going to try to pretend that I know those things. And so sometimes all of these things are tools. They're tools we use. And what's the morality of a hammer? What's the morality of a Phillips screwdriver? Doesn't have a morality. It's just a tool. The Division's great. It's, I would say it's a little bit harder than the Division 2. It's a lot coarser. So when I say coarse, it's not as easy. The difference between hard and challenging is pretty significant. And I haven't played Legendary on this, but I think I'd like to play Legendary on this. If I could play Legendary with people that I know in Division 2, I could probably gauge it. But from the challenging, and that was a thing that, you wanted like half. You wanted to go half in between, like in between their Legendary and Division to challenging. It's, it's a huge leap. And so I think that's something they did good in the Division 2. And they have a lot of those mechanics. You have World Tier 5, you got, what level difficulty you're going to be on. But really, that was a response to this game. The story, of course, is just significantly better in The Division because it's laying the groundwork for everything. And that's the story in The Division lays the groundwork. So when you're making a sequel of something that you like, in general on video games, almost everyone universally wants the original game and then they just want the improvements on it. But that's not how the game companies make money. So they make a completely new IP and. So I wonder how the new Division is going to be, Heartlands. They're trying to keep it in that universe. They have that new mode in The Division 2 that they're going to come out with. It sounds like, but maybe this is wishful thinking. Maybe I'm projecting my wishes that it's a combination of Subway and The Summit. But if you haven't played The Division and you played The Division 2, you should give The Division a try. And I don't know if I should go back to Destiny. I don't know if Destiny is better than Destiny 2. I don't know what that relation is. I can't even remember if I played Destiny. I know I played Destiny 2. I think I wanted to play Destiny. But this is normally when I say thank you for subscribing, commenting, sharing, ringing the bell. This video is going to be a little bit short. I'll probably do another video maybe a little bit later. And there's a couple games I haven't done an ESO video in a while. I haven't done Elden Rings. Probably do some gameplay in that. I'm still not off the starter area by choice. Trying to level up quite a bit. So projections. That's just 3 of many types of projections. And if you're really interested in, I don't know the guy's name. He has a channel where he loves maps and he does news stuff. But maps have all types of different types of projections. And they're for different situations. And I don't know if you've ever... There's some maps that are flat, but they're kind of zigzaggy because they, I don't want to explain it. I know about Mercator maps because that's kind we used while we were navigating. I eventually just pressed this yellow guy. At this point, these guys really hit really hard. So it doesn't really matter about your gear. You just need to... Division 2, it was easier to level up because you just got all skill pieces, then you're at tier level 6. Here, not so easy because you're leveling up. You got a value that you're putting into the skill, so it doesn't really help. And the last thing about The Division, as you'll see from the screen, it's just fantastic. The story, having it set in New York, was absolutely awesome. If you've never been to Times Square, I was stationed in New York for a while. It was great. And being in Times Square was really appealing. So, it's Ronan Kazi signing off. Projections, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye.